Hello everybody, this is Havoc and welcome to the final faction breakdown video for Thrones of Britannia, the Viking Sea Kings. When the Vikings began to settle in Britannia, not all of the fleets focused on the east coast. The kingdoms of HforHavoc and Dublin traveled to the other side of the Isles from the west coast of Scotland to the east coast of Ireland. Staying true to their Viking desires of exploration and raiding, the Viking Sea Kings do not suffer from seasickness or high seas attrition. The Viking Sea Kings are very mechanic heavy, meaning that they juggle a lot of factors and deal with a lot of scaling bars. First, there's the expedition mechanic, where they can periodically send their ships out to explore new lands, both for plunder and for colonization. This bar will fill up as you begin raiding, sacking, blockading ports, and ranking up your characters. Once it hits 100, you'll launch your expedition, getting to choose in what direction you'll want to sail in and where you'll dock your ships. On finding new territory, you'll again be prompted on how to proceed, which provides bonuses for your forces and on the campaign. Next, we have the tribute mechanic, where you'll find another bar waiting to be filled by your weaker but wealthier neighbors. As your bar reaches 100, you'll receive increasingly positive buffs to your kingdom, including influence, increases in income from settlements, and even morale debuffs for your enemies. However, should you be forced to give money in an agreement, and your bar drops below 0, you will steadfastly go broke from large increases to your upkeep. To be quite honest, I'm a bit worried that this mechanic is going to be severely overpowered for both the player and the AI. As the player, you'll see upwards of potentially -10 enemy morale when your tribute bar is full, not to mention a massive increase in income, which means it'll be pretty easy to steamroll the map at a very early point. Switch sides and you, the player, could see a potentially -10 morale to your troops when you face the enemy AI as this faction. And the AI, which will no doubt already have some income bonuses, will be able to have a ton of money flowing in. I wouldn't really be surprised if these stats have already been stifled a bit, or will once it's in full release. Residing in the modern-day capital of Dublin, Ireland, the Kingdom of Dublin has a very nice starting location on the coast, while also holding the Isle of Man that sits between Ireland and mainland Britannia. This location makes for a great hub of control, as you can hold a good amount of power in who goes into these waters as well as when you want to hop between them yourself. However, look to build your navy early on, as it appears you'll be a prime target for war for these very reasons. And as if Dublin needed another mechanic to go on top of expeditions and tribute, Dublin was renowned for its slave trade, and indeed this is where the last mechanic kicks in. You can acquire slaves by winning battles, taking captives, raiding lands, and even get slaves from your vassals. Much like the slave mechanic from the Dark Elves in Warhammer 2, you receive income from slaves, though this comes from the selling of them rather than income in general. Dublin can increase the amount of income from the selling of slaves through the thrall building chain, and having slaves allows them to build new buildings with a 15% discount. On the battlefield, Dublin fields some very strong axe infantry, such as the Eastham Long Axes and the Eastham Axe Warriors, as well as some good diversity of all range of units, with a specialization with some strong Eastern Current Javelin men. In all, I wouldn't say that Dublin will be a difficult campaign than the likes of Northumber, where you have a lot going against you. Rather, it will be difficult from the massive amount of things you'll have to manage all at once. Dublin has 3 separate mechanics that you'll have to juggle with. Each mechanic will be affected differently with each action you choose to do on the campaign, and at times they could potentially strongly conflict one another. However, I guess if you're one of those for grand strategy type games, such as Europa Universalis 4 or any of the Paradox grand strategies, maybe this micromanaging several things at once appeals to you, and Dublin may very well be the faction you've been waiting for in a Total War game. As with the great Viking armies, Dublin is built for offensive armies. Their large amount of axe infantry, combined with their specialized skirmishers, not to mention the enemy morale debuffs you'll receive from the tribute mechanic, could make Dublin essentially unstoppable once you get the ball rolling. That all being said, I'm really excited to still test them and see if this happens or if it's already been balanced. The Kingdom of HforHavoc took up residence on the western coast of Scotland and the Isles off its shores. They start in a very isolated position with a strong ally to their east, which allows for a very safe position, but this safety could come with a slow start, leading you to fall behind other factions. Soothrayer hosts a Field of Assembly, a slight variant of West CX's Witten. This assembly is a group of freemen and lawmakers that decide on missions that the army should be sent to in exchange for a reward. Also leaning on the Gwyneth's legendary battles mission style, you'll only be able to take on one of these missions at a time, and you'll have to complete your current mission before an assembly mission will take place. Sharing the Viking Sea Kings affinity for a well-rounded group of soldiers, you'll have a strong group of axemen to pull from, solid variances in swords, spears, and ranged, and their specialized Norse warriors, which turn into Norse Hersers, which were traditionally local commanders of around 100 men that owed allegiance to a jarl or a king. Soothrayer has some unique opportunities about it. You can keep to the mainland, pushing south and into Welsh territories, or you can think about pushing Ireland since you're so close to it already. The assembly could bring about some very helpful ideas of conquest as well, and you might just get some nice rewards for taking settlements you were already planning on taking anyways. Not much will be different between Soothrayer and Dublin in battle. You'll still want to push the offensive, leveling up your tribute bar to get those nice buffs, and use your expeditions to your advantage as much as possible. And with that, we are not only done with the Viking Sea Kings, we are done with the faction breakdowns for all of the Thrones of Britannia factions. I do sincerely want to thank everyone for the immense support you've shown with this series. It's my hope to continue shorter videos such as these for Thrones on release, as well as in my coverage for other games in the future. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on with the bell. Be sure to follow me on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. This is Havoc, and I'll see you in the next video.